It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That is a band that is in complete control, as the song said. That is the Lords of the Trident, and on the phone right now we've got the voice of the Lords, the one and only Fang. How you doing, Fang?
Very good, very good. How are you?
Awesome, my man. Well, dude, I gotta admit, I didn't know anything about Lords of the Trident until the last couple of weeks when your publicist got a hold of me, so why don't you clue me and everybody in, as who are you guys and where did you come from?
Well, absolutely, and that's something that we hear a lot, because obviously you understand there's a lot of unworthy minions out there that need some education in the metal. That's why you do what you do. That's why our publicist does what he does. It's a great thing. So we are Lords of the Trident. We are the most metal band on earth. Actually, we are a group of immortals. We've been playing since the dawn of time. Essentially, we took a little break after our Black Plague tour of 1326. Again, I'm legally required to apologize to Europe for that one. But afterwards, we got back together around 2008. Came out with an album early 2009. That was our first album called Desert Sandwich. And we've been going strong ever since. We've been playing festivals, melting faces, stealing virgins, all that sort of stuff. So that's essentially it in a nutshell. If people want to hear more, we've got the whole tale is up on the website. So if people want to read the entire bio, that's at just lordsoftheTrident.com.
Sure. Well, considering you had a roughly 700-year layoff, what has changed technologically to where you're able to reach the masses a little easier?
Well, obviously, the electronification of the guitars made it a lot easier, at least on our guitar budgets, because, back in the early days with the acoustics, they would catch on flame, it started on fire, essentially, right about when we started playing them. So that was difficult. And we went through kind of the bronze guitars, they would melt, and then eventually the iron guitars got better. But now that now it's electric, it's a lot easier to melt some faces without having to worry about the guitars catching on fire and stopping mid-performance. And also, obviously going through 20, 30 guitars at night is very, very difficult. But I would say probably the biggest thing for us is the advent of recorded music and of CDs and of MP3 files and things like that. Excellent way to reach the masses without having to demolish every single town we go through. So people at least have some idea that we're coming. So so that we don't leave just a crater behind. That sort of thing.
Sure. Well, one thing I've got to think for you guys as a band, you see these other bands that are out there today, and it just seems like there's always members changing or whatever, and these guys barely last 10, 20 years. You guys, 700 years, and you held it all together. You got to think that these guys are bitches that are out there now by comparison, right?
I know. Tell me about it. You get people like, oh, I don't like how so-and-so is playing his guitar. It's like, man, we split it up for like 700 years, so you guys can, you guys can think about that the next time you want to go through, a new guitarist. Say, oh, you're having artistic differences. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sure. Well, I got to tell you, Fang, from listening to your new EP, Plan of Attack, it sounds like you guys not only have a mission, but you've got a mission that is driven by sounding well. The production on this, especially for an older band like yourselves, is very strong. I mean, what did you guys put more emphasis into? The songs, the message, or the production?
Well, that's an interesting question, because this is actually the first CD that we had someone else produce. The first two CDs were produced entirely by us, ourselves, down in our practice studio in the Mohorovic Discontinuity. It's 13 miles beneath the Earth's crust. We had to move down there because it kept causing earthquakes,
right,
when we were recording. Mm-hmm. So we moved down there and we produced the albums ourselves. I'm a perfectionist. I'm very, very particular about, how certain songs sound, how the tone sounds, that kind of a thing. And so initially we hooked up with this, one of our producers. His name is Martin Atkins. He's a former drummer from Nine Inch Nails. He played for Ministry and Pigface and Killing Joke, all that sort of stuff. He's this crazy white-haired British guy, and he said to me, he said, "Hey, Fang, I want to hook you up with this other producer. His name is Doug Olson, and he does all this crazy stuff." And I'm looking at him kind of like, well, I don't quite know, but Doug came down to the studio. Put on the protective suit, went down into the elevator and all that sort of stuff. First thing Doug does is he challenges us to a sword fight. No handshake, no nothing, just whips out the swords on the wall, and we have ourselves a good old-fashioned sword fight. And that was the time that I knew, Doug was going to be the right producer for us. So, he's got a lot of, like Martin, like me voicing Martin said, he's got a lot of amazing production credits. He worked with Butch Vig on Nirvana's Nevermind album. He worked with Smashing Pumpkins and Cheap Trick and stuff like that. So, having someone in the studio whose entire livelihood is based off of production, engineering, and stuff like that, I feel that really upped our game, quite a bit. I'm okay with recording and engineering and stuff like that, but let's face it, my full-time job is to sing and to melt faces.
Right.
Whereas this guy, does this for a living, and it absolutely showed. Sure. In the album, in the production, in how things sound. And the great news about it was, we had such a great time doing this album, and Doug actually had such a great time, producing it. We became real fast friends, and he has signed on for the next couple full albums. Sure. So we're very excited about that.
He needs to finally working with some talent after all those hacks that you named before, right?
Yep, exactly.
Well, man, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a rumor out there that when you guys were doing pre-production for Plan of Attack, that you had a studio out there near Fukushima, Japan, up until like 2 years ago. Is that true?
Oh, that's a touchy subject, and again, I have to apologize to Japan about the tsunamis. It was our fault, and I know the lawyers don't want me saying with definite, certainty that yes, we caused the tsunamis and the nuclear explosion. But hey, it's just you, me, and the radio, right? So I'm just going to say that right now. Here's exactly what happened. Okay, Pontifex Mortis, our bassist, he was doing some tracking, near Fukushima, and he broke a string. He was hitting a low note, and then the thing snapped, and that just caused this pressure wave, caused a huge tsunami. You guys know the rest. So it was really awkward for a long time, but we're hoping maybe to do a Japan tour and sort of like we're sorry, maybe we can even fist bump Godzilla. I don't know, right. We'll see what happens.
Well, if nothing else, you made the fish taste better, right?
Exactly. Still a microwave on that, no problem.
Sure, man. Well, from what I understand, and I could be wrong since I'm not an aficionado in the band as of yet, but I understand that you guys sort of make your current home base sort of around the Wisconsin area. Now, that's not necessarily... Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. No, you finish.
No, I was just going to say, that's not necessarily known as a hotbed for metal and face-melting bands. Is it hard to find appropriate gigs where you can show off the awesomeness of the most metal band on Earth?
It is. It really is. And one thing that is difficult about kind of being centered here in Madison is, we're surrounded by the jam bands and the indie bands. And, man, I tell you, it is difficult to find a decent band to battle with. Mm-hmm. You get up on the stage, and it's just, game over the second you hit the first chord. They just kind of melt into a pile of goo. But the nice thing about being here in Madison is we have nice proximity to places like Chicago and Iowa City, mm-hmm. Places where we can tour around and actually find, bands to battle with. Like, for instance, next Monday, we're going to be opening up for the very great Halloween, awesome. Which we're very excited for down in Chicago. And we have come across a few bands that we deem, semi-worthy, that at least can stand up to our sonic assault with only a few broken bones, that kind of a thing.
Sure.
But yeah, you are correct. It is difficult here, to find those sort of bands. So yeah.
Now, one thing I'm curious about, as interplanetary visionaries like yourselves, what do you think of this other band, Guar, that's out there, trying to steal your scene, more or less?
Well, I kind of think we saw Guar a few months ago, and you know what? I mean, since we've been playing since the dawn of time, and I know Guar is sort of new on the scene in terms of the whole span of time. Really, I consider it more of an homage than anything to Lords of the Trident. Really, it's that sort of a thing. But man, they put on one heck of a show. I probably wouldn't mix electrical guitars with all that goo that they fling everywhere. But man, they found some way to do it without killing themselves every night. So I mean, my hat's off to them.
Right, definitely, man. So what is the plan of attack for the Lords of the Trident in 2014?
Well, currently we are finishing up our first music video for this release. This will be our third music video that we've come out with so far for Complete Control, the track you just heard. And we're hoping to do another one very soon. We are actually almost done writing the next album. So it's basically only a matter of time until we jump back into the studio with Doug and hammer out another album. We were thinking about doing a couple EPs, in between, but I think the guys kind of feel that an EP is less tangible. Like they feel like an album is a full, concise statement, whereas an EP is kind of not as tangible of a product. So. Sure. So we're going to go in and we're going to bang out another EP, another full album. This next full album is going to be definitely an Asian metal favorite. Asian metal. He's one of the lead guitarists for the band. There's going to be a lot of real awesome Asian metal hits on this next one coming up. We're very, very excited about it. And then we are looking at. We just came off of a tour. We went east from Madison out to Pittsburgh and back. We're looking at throwing together another little mini tour in January. I'm going down south. We're going to end in North Carolina and back, and then next summer we are hopefully looking at hitting up Europe. So going over to Germany, possibly any of the Scandinavian countries up there.
Right, sure.
The Sweden, the Finland, anything like that. But that's still in the works. It's still kind of not set in stone yet. So we're going to figure that out as we go.
Right. Well, Fang, let me ask you what's known as the traditional classic metal show question. We've asked this to everybody, over 1,000 interviews, and I've got to think that you might have a different answer for this.
Ooh.
This guy is definitely a mortal, but I'm curious if a mortal such as Lemmy would have had any influence on your career.
Oh, Lemmy. Well, it's one of those things everybody always asks us, does Iron Maiden, do you guys, are you influenced by Iron Maiden? Are you influenced by Judas Priest or Lemmy or Dio or things like that? And, it's a difficult question to answer because, technically we predate all these other bands. And so they sort of stole our style, But again, I'm not going to say steal because they do their own thing with it. I like to think of it as an homage, really, to the Lords. And maybe some of them don't even know that it's an homage, it's generations after generations. But I will say that I do enjoy the Lemmy. I have seen Motorhead quite a few times. If I could get some CO2 cannons like they've got on stage, and shoot those things behind my amps every time we did a solo, I would totally do that. But yes, we do enjoy listening to the Lemmy.
Awesome.
And of course, Lemmy is God, of course. So.
Sure, of course. Well, Fang, for people that have been listening, the name of the band is Lords of the Trident. The name of the new EP is called Plan of Attack. What am I missing that you want people to know? And give out the plugs as well, where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to check out more about Lords of the Trident, which, if you don't, then you should turn off your computer, turn off your radio, set them on fire, go live in a cave, and die a horrible existence, because, come on, who doesn't want to hear more?
Right.
You can check us out at lordsofthetrident.com. We are on literally every site on the internet. Just type Lords of the Trident into Google, and we're the first 50 or so pages. We've got music videos. We've got live footage from our DVDs on YouTube. So just go to YouTube, type in Lords of the Trident. Our official channel is also called Lords of the Trident. If you're one of those guys that likes physical media, instead of buying the MP3s, you can buy physical copies of the albums from our main site, lordsofthetrident.com. Otherwise, we're on Amazon, iTunes, CD Baby, Napster. I don't know, you name it. We're out there.
Right.
So if you find a site that Lords of the Trident is not on, then you win the grand prize, and you'll have to email us and to figure out what the grand prize is.
There you go. well, I'll tell you what, Fang. As a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track. So, what would you like us to play to wrap this one up, and maybe tell us a quick story about it?
Yeah. Well, let's see. Since the name of the EP is Plan of Attack, why don't you play Plan of Attack off of Plan of Attack?
Easy enough.
This one was written by Mr. Asian Metal, and actually, this is the only one on this EP that was written completely by Asian Metal. This is a 100% Asian Metal joint, if you will.
Sure.
But as I said, the next CD is going to be full of tracks like this. And he would not. We have this opening that's a little bit kind of like I think it's like 7/4 times, something weird like that.
Mm-hmm.
We were saying, oh man, we should do something like keep it a little more simpler, and he would not have it. So you'll have a interesting time counting out that opening. We sure did. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Go to our website, buy our stuff. And as my barbarian grandma always said, you can't stay true if you're rocking out to Nickelback. So buy some Lords of the Trident gear.
There you go. Well, let's check out some Lords of the Trident right now. This is the title track. It's Plan of Attack right here on your Classic Metal Show.